God, this is frightening. No problem. Okay, so this is a very personal story. Looking back at my love of story, but told through the devices that I've owned over many years, the Valve radios I've owned over many years. But hopefully this is also relevant to today's debate about the future, and it starts in West London with this radio, a radio that is broken, that needs support, it needs mending. I'm twisting some valves, and I'm jiggling some wires, and then it sort of comes back to life, and it starts to hum, and the magic of radio is born. And I don't know if you remember how this works, but it sort of the valves have to warm up before you see things, and it takes you to sounds and stories and places that you've never heard of before. I should say I was 12, and suddenly I'm being confronted with Hilversum and Warsaw and Tashkent, and I was hooked. Not just valves, but also transistors. This, by the way, is Bush TR-82. I have one, 1959, an icon of early radio design. The point about this is it made radio mobile. You could take it under your bedclothes. I listened to Radio Luxembourg late in the evening. They sell now these for retro radios for young people. I have an original. I'm also so captivated, I then start my own radio station at school. This is a very unfair portrait of me. But you get the idea. I am obsessed with radio. I guess in a different time, I would have been a YouTuber. And then I ran another radio station at university, a pirate station. I had to build transmitters for it. I love radio. And then that inevitably led to volunteer shifts, a professional career, starting at the BBC, my local radio station, learning to cut. Beautiful. Another fresh-paced picture of me. Thank you. And then, don't clap too long, it will take up my time. And then I moved on to international radio, something serious, BBC World Service, reporting on Tashkent and all the rest. By this stage, I'd started to build my own collection of radios. This, by the way, is the Philco 444. It's the People's Radio, built in about 1938. This is the radio many people in Britain would have listened to Churchill's wartime broadcasts on. And I have one of these in my kitchen, and I brought it back to life, and it still works. It's also striking how similar this amazing Art Deco cathedral-like design is to the BBC's broadcasting house, a building that is very much the definition of gatekeeper power. So you can see that in terms of the built-in one-way transmitters on the top. But that, of course, changed with the arrival of the internet. Cheer. I guess the ultimate democratizing media, and I got hooked and sidelined into this crazy digital. I joined BBC News Online. But you'll see that even then, I had audio in my sites right from the start. Although I have to say this was a complete failure. Almost nobody used audio because it wasn't built into the web, right? You had to have a plug-in for it. Nobody had speakers for PCs, so it was a complete, well, it wasn't a complete failure, but it was not as good as it could have been. And then came the Web 2.0 revolution, and YouTube taught us that the barriers to entry were coming down, that literally anybody could broadcast and connect and build audiences on their own. Absolutely the opposite of the elitist temples of broadcasting and privilege that we saw earlier. But then another enormous change in technology, which has started to unlock the growth that we see today. So first the smartphone, then the distribution of our Apple podcasts, then the content like Serial, and finally the headphones. And it's really that combination coming together in the last 3 years that has changed everything. The headphones are critical. So I bought a version of these last November, and they've transformed my media consumption. So I now consume between 10 and 20 podcasts a week, including The Guardian's brilliant Today in Focus Call Out 4, which is really interesting and well-constructed. I look forward to it every day. And now I can listen to audio in more and more places. It's just great for multitasking, for walking the dog, taking exercise, doing the chores. It's the most flexible and convenient medium in the world. But it's not just old people like me listening to radio in a different way. It's also captivating young people. According to our Reuters Institute data, they are 3 to 4 times more likely to listen than over 55s. And they're listening and engaging for long periods of time. And here are just a couple of insights from our 2019 Digital News Report on the reasons why young people love podcasting. Firstly, multitasking and convenience. It's just easy. It washes over you. Secondly, they want to be in control and manage their own schedule. They don't want a gatekeeper to do that for them. And then the diversity of perspectives. So this brings me back to my radio collection, and this is the best of all. I've saved it till last, the AD65, about 1934, and you can see why it's collectible. But however beautiful these are, they're limited. They can't get podcasts on them. You can't move them easily. You can't talk to them. This is another audio device, also called the Echo, coincidentally, the Amazon Echo. Not so beautiful, but multifaceted and interactive. And I think these two echoes really describe the change from radio to audio. It's no longer about broadcasting. It's about unleashing the potential of this amazing medium that is easy to make, that doesn't need a screen, that can inspire us, that can take us to new places. And I guess my realization is that audio is not trapped in the past. It's about the present, and it's very much about the future. Thank you.